say I thought it was already started.
And now go for it, man. So what were you saying?
So yeah, started powerlifting, I guess you could say, like sometime in like February, March this year. That's when I first got in. That's when I first found the gym that I'm at right now. Got into like an 8-week meet prep, just went through everything for the first time. Did my first meet, like I said, May 1st. And then afterwards I like didn't really have any more plans for the rest of the year. I just wanted to get stronger. And a couple of the homies at the gym was just like, bro, like, you qualified for nationals, right? And I'm like, there's no way. And that's my first year. I was like, no way. And they were like, no, like, yeah, you qualified for nationals. I'm like, bro, like, there is no way. Then they started showing me the numbers, everything added up. And then they were like, so you're going to Cali, right? You're going to Cali. And I'm like, well, shit, how can I turn it down? Y'all asking me the way y'all asking me, because I had no clue. So got to go to Cali. Wonderful experience, to be honest. Like, it was definitely something I never thought of. And like you said, the topography, even on the other side of the United States, it's just so different. And it was so hot. Like, we got off the plane, and I believe it was like 116 degrees. Like, it was boiling. So honestly, it was a ball. I had a lot of fun. Considering the meet, I came in second place in my first national meet in like the junior class. So it was pretty cool, honestly. But for me, I understand like lifting is lifting. We went out there to compete, but I was just enjoying the scenery. Like, everything I was getting to see, I was just taking in. I'd never been there before, so I was with everything. I was like, yo, we should go here. We should go there. We could just go sightseeing. Like, I didn't even care. I was just like, yo, we just got to go there. We just got to do it. But yeah, so with that being said, started earlier this year and been doing it ever since. I'm just happy to be here. All right. Listen, I ain't going back. I'm here to stay. I'm here to stay.
Fuck yeah, man. That fires me up. Like, someone kind of finds that and then runs with it, you know what I mean? And like,
oh man, like when I first came to the gym, I was trying to be like just in shape. It was just like God's luck that I got into power. Like, somebody walked up after I hit like a heavy deadlift and was like, yo, you compete? I'm like, compete what? Like, what's that? And like, I'm like, they started explaining to me. I'm like, I can compete against other people from all over. They're like, yeah, you can compete against anyone. I'm like, yeah, I think I'll do that. So that's how I got started.
That's crazy.
No, for real.
Do you compete? What? We're in a gym, dude. How do you compete in a gym?
So the gym that so basically the gym that I go to in PA is called Power Build Gym. 2 locations. Second location is beautiful. It's brand new. I train there a lot. Like, I get most of my work done in there. So what happens for like the powerlifting meet? You just sign up for the meet. Pretty much you got like a certain amount of time before the meet comes up. So like 8 weeks out, 10 weeks out, 16 weeks out. Mm-hmm. And those weeks, those are the weeks that you use to kind of prepare for the meet. Now, most meets have like a venue picked out already. They have like the whole, basically like a federation kind of runs the meet. So of course, with powerlifting, there's different federations, of course. The federation that I compete in is called the USPA. But they run a meet, and usually we try to find gyms that are like in the area, just so we don't have to travel so far for like a local meet. National meets, of course, you're traveling, no problem. But for a local meet, we try to find something a little closer to home. So with that being said, spend your time training, running a program, making sure you're doing what you need to do, making sure you're fueling your body right. And then you just work down to those weeks. And when you're like 1 week out, 2 weeks out, things start to turn into like, when you play sports and you had a basketball practice all week, and now it's getting closer and closer to game day. So that's how I honestly treat it. I treat it like it's a longer space for practice, and then we have games every couple months. So, and I try not to compete. I mean, this is my first year competing, but going forward, I probably will only compete like 2-3 times a year, just to be like safe and just to stay healthy, honestly. Like, going through meet preps can be grueling. They prepare you very well, but it demands a lot out of your body. So you got to be on your P's and Q's with everything. Like, you got to be making smart decisions all around the clock. So
100%.
it takes its time. It takes its time for sure. And it's like, just give and take, trial and error. Like, you just got to learn.
Especially when you're dealing with the central nervous system, right? And you look at,
oh man, no doubt.
You look at some of the strongest people of all time, like, they didn't compete every other weekend. It's like maybe 2 meets a year, and the rest of it is just building blocks. you know. So if you want to
That's
build
pretty much
Rome,
all it is. So it is like building blocks. Another important one I've learned is controlling your rate of progression. That is so important. I think that's something that's missed out these days. Like I see so many people on social media, and I love to see people progressing, but like you can always look and tell when somebody's just progressing just too fast, or they're like just like it can cause a burnout in the long run. We don't want to see a burnout. We want to see you progress, but we don't want to see a burnout. So because then that leads to injury, that leads to time off on the gym, and then you're not getting stronger ultimately. So
for sure. And like if you mentally burn out too, right? Like you're not going to even want to go in the gym, and you're fucked. You're going to
I
go
think
in
that
there.
might be and I think that honestly might even be worse than actually burning out physically because it's hard. It's hard to get that mental capacity back to be able to just go in the gym and just get it done, regardless if you're tired, you felt like it that day. Like it's rough. It gets rough. So if you lose that edge, it could be even more difficult than losing your body in the process. So
100%, man. 100%. Like you'd rather take a little bit of a short-term hit than a long-term like drastic change, or you even just pack in the spot. So yeah, that controlling the rate of progression, that's not been brought up in a while. I've not heard that in a while. And yeah, I think that is very, very important.
yeah, man. Like, listen, like powerlifting is a sport, I believe, of longevity. Like, you want to train consistently and as much as possible to get the most out of yourself. If you overtrain, I'm not really a big believer of like overtraining if you're getting enough rest, but with powerlifting, there's so many more variables. You have your body, and like you said, you have your central nervous system. So sometimes your body may be firing on all cylinders, and then your central nervous system is not there for you that day. That can lead to injury too. So there's so many other things you have to take into consideration when thinking about controlling your rate of progression. Think about when you plan on competing, how hard you think you should go in the off season. Like all that kind of stuff plays a big factor. And honestly, like the more I've learned about powerlifting, the more I've met coaches and people who actually think about that. Like think about, okay, well, it's off season right now, and this lifter A doesn't plan on competing until next July. Okay, so let's do this in the process. Let's not push it too hard, but let's do this in the process to get them built up. And then when it hits that time, well, we'll like amp it up, like, turn it up a little bit for them. But it's so important, man. It's so important. Like you said, you'll burn out mentally before you burn out physically if you don't train right, like a lot of the time.
Yeah, man. And that's what's really important about the off seasons, right? You get to play around with something called like GPP, where you throw in a load of stuff that you wouldn't usually do to work on the shit that you probably too tired to do. Like most of your training sessions are kind of filled with accessory pieces, or like unilaterally pieces, or you're like carrying or bear crawling and shit. You're like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's like, no,
for real.
like that will translate over. Like, SBD is a skill. Yeah, okay, it's strength taxing, but it is a skill, and we don't need to have that skill right now. So we're going to apply that kind of like adaptive energy to all these other things, right? We're going to work on your low back, your core, whatever it is, right? That imbalance that you kind of have got around up to now, right? We've all got them, especially my right shoulder. Oh my God, it likes getting bunged up. And then we're going to get a little bit more spot specific, where we're only going to be good at these three movements, like a squat, bench, and a deadlift.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, and it's crazy because that same train of thought can be used for SBD. Like in the off season for me. So after I came home in July from the meet in California, I got asked like, have I ever like sumo deadlifted before? And this is like kind of what springboarded me into becoming like full-time sumo deadlifter and using conventional deadlift as like an accessory now. Like you said, I was actually just doing sumo deadlift to build my legs. And then it just so happened that the day it clicked, I was deadlifting a lot more. Now, that could be because of two things. It could be because I was just getting stronger using it as an accessory. Or like, I don't know, I was just naturally gifted with the deadlift. I don't necessarily think I'm naturally gifted. I just spent a lot of time trying to learn how to sumo deadlift. Like once I started and I started to realize like what it was, how technical it was, that's when I started like thinking in my head, like, no, I really want to learn this movement. Like, I want to at least know how to use both. Also, too, with learning the sumo deadlift as an accessory, it also taught me to be very, very patient with lifting in general.
Yeah.
Like, instead of rushing and stuff like that, I was just very, very patient after that. Like, God bless the coach I have. He already, like, pushes me to stay as patient as possible. Like, when it comes to deadlifting, when it comes to like just being methodical with all your training, just take your time. Like, there's no reason to push anything, no reason to like do extra. But it just like kind of just transitions back into lifting where it's like smooth, calm, collected, and no rush. Like no rush on any lifts, especially the deadlift. Like no rush there at all. But yeah, I was using sumo as an accessory, and my best deadlift conventional was 6'11" at that time.
6'11". I'm just gonna convert to kilos. Keep going.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I think that's like somewhere around 270. It might be around like 275 or something. It might, yeah. I think.
Yeah, 278.
My math might be wrong. 278.
278.
So, I switched to sumo, and once it clicked for me, and it started to click for me. I won't even say it's clicked all the way yet, but once it started to make sense to me, I ended up pulling 275 kilos for a double. And it was like very, very easy. Like the people around me were like, what's going on? Like, what have you been doing? And I was like, honestly, I can't even tell y'all. Like, I don't even know. And then I got me and my homies and me and my buddies, we got into something in the gym. So basically I told him like, yo, I plan on going for this number. If it's there, it's there. I'll take it. If not, like, so be it. Like, we'll just go there another day. So that homie told like all the other friends, like, yeah, Jeff's gonna pull this. Mm-hmm. And the number in question was 300 kgs, 300 kilograms. So once everybody was like, oh, he's gonna pull that, it should be good, he's gonna get it. And I pulled it. I was actually pretty excited myself. I was shocked. I shocked myself in that matter. But it was a good time. But after that, I kind of knew like, yeah, we were just gonna stay with sumo. Like, honestly, it was helping out with the other left squats, even bench a little bit. It was helping out just having that extra leg drive on bench press. But it was honestly adding up. And like I said, I still use conventional as an accessory. I like to get strong any way possible. Mm-hmm. Like you said, if bear crawls and all that stuff were to get me strong, I'd probably do them a lot. Like if there was something that really, really helped me within my sport, yes, I'm going to do them. But that's why I also love keeping like an athletic side of the training sometimes. Like I may do stuff outside of program in the off season, of course, when I'm not in prep, to like keep that athletic side of me going, because honestly, that's like a big fuel for powerlifting. But other than that, when we're in like prep, I try to just stay with that, just try to stay there.
What sports did you do, if any, before you got into powerlifting?
Oh man, so I played football, I played basketball, and in my younger days, I played soccer. And I think all of those things help. Soccer, a lot of people don't know I played soccer, and I give a lot of credit to soccer, but just because it taught such good coordination, like with the feet, eyes, it's taught me such good coordination. And that plays a big role in like when you're setting up on bench or you're setting up on deadlift. Like some days when I set up, I can literally like walk up to the bar, close my eyes, and set up the same way I could as if my eyes were open. And right. Just having that coordination of yourself and just knowing where to place your body at between me and the bar, I definitely think that came from sports in general. Football just gave like the grit. Like when you go into the gym, there's a certain attitude that like I try to go in the gym with just to like get my sessions through. Not necessarily get through the session, but to also make sure the session means something. Like every session should mean something, whether it's a light day, whether it's a heavy day. And then, like I said, basketball was another thing with hand-eye coordination, just making sure everything is stabilized, making sure you're as symmetrical as possible when you're touching these weights, making sure one side isn't lagging behind the other. All the sports like kind of just helped me with training, because once I got into the gym and I started training for powerlifting like damn near full time, it became very natural. Like it felt like something I've been doing already. And honestly, with football, of course, getting ready for a sport such as football, you're already preparing your body. You're doing pretty much similar things to what I'm doing in the gym now, it was more like a bodybuilding aspect. It wasn't so much as like the three main lifts. We did like lifts that like considered explosiveness. God bless you. We did like lifts that consider like explosiveness, like being an athlete, like performance based stuff, not really strength related stuff. So there's a big transition, a big like difference between the two, but there's things that also like, transition as well into powerlifting that definitely helped me out a lot. Just gave me a nice baseline when I walked in the gym. So it was good.
Yeah, the S&C that I see you guys doing over there for American football fascinates me, man. Simply because I think it should be across all sports everywhere, right? Like I came up, I was a swimmer technically back in the day, and then I played rugby, right? And like obviously rugby, American football, very physical sports. So the S&C should be somewhat similar, right? We had some training, but it was more like kind of figure it out by yourself type stuff. Because like the funding was non-existent. We didn't have a single pound to share, you know what I mean? So it was like, right, if you find a tire, flip it. If you find a sledgehammer, smack the tire. If you find anything heavy, pick it up and run with it. We had like a little weight room that was like, there was no windows. Mate, it was probably 50 square meters. You know what I mean? It was absolutely tiny. It was filthy, right? We're trying to pack as many lads in there as possible and just kind of work out for a couple hours and get out on the fields. But the S&C for American football, I'm just like, wow, we could really take some things from this and then apply it.
The sport has definitely grown. And yeah, you can definitely take examples from that sport and definitely apply it. Like and people don't even realize like with powerlifting with sports, how much thought and like science actually goes into sports. Like even like equipment design for football, like the way they designed the helmets now with the head traumas and injury prevention and injury recovery in football has revolutionized itself in the past couple of years. Like if you've been watching, they have like a treadmill you could run on if you broke your ankle. Like it could basically take all the weight. It could basically take 80% of the weight off, and you could basically use it to walk and stuff like that. And there's just so many different technologies these days that are helping athletes get back to their sport faster. I definitely think there's things that powerlifting can take from these sports.
Yeah.
Of course, these sports are in the mainstream, so like you said, the funding is there, but there are certain things that we can do as like athletes as well as powerlifters to make sure we create that same like feel as far as recovery and resting and making sure we stay from getting injured. Honestly, it's like a more of a mentality thing right now since the funding is absent, but there's still a lot of things that you can bounce off the too, like definitely. But yeah, like you said, man, football is coordination. It's like it has so many things in lifting. Like there's so many like similarities between the two. It just doesn't make any sense. Of course, the only thing is when you're lifting, it's just you, and when you're playing football, it's 11 of y'all. So
yeah. Here's a question because I'm really interested in the answer. Right? Do you think the pads and helmets are necessary in American football?
Great question. I've had my ups and downs with that one, just because of the fact that like when you look at rugby and you look at football and you look at how rough and like how like much you hit people in the sport, most of the time when I'm watching rugby, you don't hear about as many head traumas as you do in football. I think the helmet being an extension is like kind of a segue for head injuries. Like just because there's like it's the way it's built, the shoulder pads, the way you hit people, like you're using your shoulder, of course, but your head is also a liability when you lean in. I always wondered, like, if you didn't have a helmet, but you still had the shoulder pads, would there still be that same effect? And honestly, there's really no way around it because helmets have also protected guys from head traumas, literally just impacting like their head hitting the floor, like literally coming up down from a catch or like coming down or like literally just coming out of the air, touching the ground. And they have hit their heads, they got up, walked it off. And there's been other times where a helmet actually caused them to hit their head even harder. So it's like a give or take. Honestly, I think it's one of those things where you have to measure up benefits and like the negatives about like negatives, positives, and honestly make a decision. And I think the best decision is to kind of have a helmet. Just so like there's so many more things that could go wrong if you don't have a helmet. Get your eyes poked out, nose ripped off, like anything can happen without a helmet. But of course, there's a takeaway with that, and that's the, the head injuries that we've been seeing over the past couple of years.
That's interesting, man. Like, yeah, like, you go attack it from an American football standpoint. I attack it from a rugby standpoint. And yeah, we can have this debate, right? But at the same time, I do acknowledge that American footballers and the players get into some crazy ass positions just to catch this fucking pigskin, right? And you don't get that with rugby. Like, yeah, okay, you might get a chip and chase or whatever, and you're jumping in the air. Yeah, and if you take the man in the air and he hits the deck and you don't bring him down, then that's a sin bin, all right? It's a yellow card, it's a penalty, it's a foul. But you've got to be able to like translate that over to the laws of the game of football, right? And that's slightly different. So yeah, maybe I can see that point. I can. That's interesting.
I would like to ask you a question. In all your time as like playing rugby, what kind of injuries are like prevalent in the sport? Because like when I watch rugby, I don't think I've seen anybody get like walked off or taken out on the stretcher. Like I'm usually just seeing like guys just like steamrolling other guys. Like they're throwing the football, just steamrolling other guys. I'm like, Jesus, this is a sport if I ever seen one.
Yeah, it's mental, and I think it helps not using pads from being kids, right? Because like the bone density and the shock absorbance of your body like just goes through the roof, so you can take a lot more of a beating. Having said that, you're creating a harder object, and now sport science is going up, so now that hard object can now run faster, right? And if we've got two extremely hard objects who are pretty fucking heavy running very fucking fast and they're both going straight, it creates a lot of problems. In terms of like the most prevalent injuries, shoulders, 100%.
Yeah.
A lot of snap collarbones, shoulder dislocations, like a lot of drop shoulders. You see that all the time. A couple of like dislocated knees. Less ankles than like football, as in soccer. A lot less ankles than soccer. A lot less ankles than American football as well, I reckon. But mostly shoulders. Necks, if you're like in the front and the forwards.
Yeah.
Like,
that makes sense.
The scrum, right? Like 8 guys kind of go in with 8 guys, and they have a little bit of a scrap for the ball. Yeah, that's like the 3 at the front on each side. That's a fun fact. That's where I used to play. I used to play on the left hand side. You get a lot of like jacked up necks.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes sense. Like same thing with the shoulder and the way you lean when you like go to hit someone. It makes sense to have like drop shoulder a lot. But yeah, I've always thought rugby was like, I always thought it was a fantastic sport. I just never could find like people to play it with. Like I always thought it was cool. And honestly, like when we were younger and we played like you said, playing football outside, there was no pads. So we used to play like for toss up, throw up or whatever. And honestly, we used to like run around, just tackle people with no equipment, like on the concrete, like we just play football any day. And like you said, I think not only did that prepare us mentally, but it also prepared us somewhat physically in a sense too. Like there were some things that like, you bruise a bone, come back. Next time you hit that same bone, it feels like nothing. Like it doesn't feel the same way. It doesn't bother you the same way. And I also think there's a mental side of that, like, okay, I've been here before, but it's also your body getting stronger as well.
You learn how to tackle too, right? If
yeah, man.
Like there's 2 codes of rugby, right? Rugby league and rugby union. And back in the day, you used to be able to like shoulder charge in rugby league. In rugby union, you can't. You've got to try and like wrap an arm and like make an effort, right? You've got to be shown to make an effort to take the man down rather than just like plow those in fucking over. And that's what, playing on concrete, playing without pads, I guess, helps with that. Because it's like, well, if I put my head in a weird position and I nail this lad, he's going to land on top of my head, and that's going to really fucking hurt. Right? So I'm like, I'm probably not going to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think that's the most important thing, and that's what they're trying to bring up through the youth of rugby at the moment. There was a lot of like we got HIAs now, which is head injury assessments, where if someone suspects you to have a concussion or anything, you've got to go off and get passed by the medical team.
Yep. Same thing in football.
That's good, man, because I remember playing, dude, and I was concussed as shit, right? I wouldn't know where the ball is. The end of the field is a blur to me. I don't know what I'm doing, and I just feel sick, right? And they run on with this fucking ice bucket of water and this holy sponge that's been in there for like 30 years. They just like kind of dip it in the water, right? They put it on your head. Just, Alex, it's okay. It's the magic sponge.
Oh, man.
I'm like, all right, okay, cool. Next thing you know, you're running around like nearly throwing up. Like it's not good, dude.
No, not at all. Not at all. But yeah, I came across like a hit in college that I thought gave me a concussion, and that was the first time I seen like concussion protocol up front, and they were just like, they didn't play. Like our trainer, she did not play at all. She was like, you need to come to the sideline right now. Like my coaches were trying to get me back in the game. She was not having it. Like she was like, you need to do this test. They had me like looking at fingers and counting backwards from 20, like everything to make sure that I didn't have a concussion and I could go play again. So honestly, that's a big thing. I'm glad that they do that now, because honestly, that was never a thing before. That was never a thing for football before.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think you're allowed 2 concussions, and if you get 2 in a season, they wipe you for a year.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. They wipe you for a year.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like, I mean, we can look back now and be like, "Fuck yeah, that's gonna stay in," but you can understand the athletes that are in it, right? Like, it's literally like the world is ending. Like, especially over in the States when you've got like limited opportunity and limited time and all that shit, right? It's a fucking business, man.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a business.
And like you said, it's a business, and it's like it's risky business with the health, because you're staking your health, and then something happens, and you kind of gotta just live with those results. And I think it's important though that we still like abide by these rules a little bit, just because like it is a head injury, and you are a human outside of your sport. Like although it is business and there's stuff to take care of, it's like, if you have so many head injuries, you're gonna be being taken care of. Like you're gonna be somewhere in the hospital. Somebody gonna be feeding you. So it's like, honestly, it's important. Like honestly, there's a balance that needs to be kept.
100%. Like that's inevitably why I needed to put my boots up. Like I had a fucking really, really bad neck injury, and I kept on re-aggravating it, and I had to go to a specialist at the local fucking pro rugby team, and they were like, dude, like, nah, like put your fucking boots up. There's no need to risk this anymore. It's sport, it's not life. In the middle of it you think it's life, but when you get out of it you're like, oh, okay, yeah, there's a little bit more to life. Longevity, like you said, needs to be in the forefront of everyone's minds. So I want to kind of divert off. You've got a little side hustle, or is it the main hustle now?
Yeah, honestly, it's definitely been growing a little bit. The protocol brand, in short, the PRTCL brand. I'll start from the beginning. So in like high school, I had the thought like, I would like to have a brand one day. Like I didn't know what I wanted to be. I just knew somehow, some way I wanted a brand. This was also around the time when I was in high school. People were just like making brands and just putting all their friends in their brands. Like that was like, they didn't really like do like the whole business thing. It was just like more like a fad, just trying to be cool. Mm-hmm. And I told myself, I was like, in that process, like I don't want this to be like a thing that I just do as a fad. Like I wanted it to mean something. I wanted it to be like something people could look forward to, or something people could believe in going forward. But in that time, I was having a hard time like coming up with ideas, like basically just writer's block, like just a creative block for me. So I took some time off. I took a couple of years off and said, you know what? If I really want to do it, it'll come back around. Well, sure enough, it came back around while I was in college. When I was in college playing football, of course, we had practice games and stuff like that. But after practices, especially in the summertime when we came for training camp, I was actually always going to ice bath. Like after practice, even if I didn't have any nicks, bruises, if I didn't feel like anything too terrible, I would still go get in the ice bath. And one thing I never realized I always said, people were like, yo, where you going? To the ice bath. And they would say, you always there. And I would say, I know, standard protocol. I will always say it. And I didn't realize how much I said it until I like sat down and I was like, yo, I got to think of an idea for this brand. And I don't know what to call it. I don't know what it's going to be about. And then I went to the gym one day and somebody said it to me again. And it just so happens I caught it this time. I was like, I got it. Like I fucking got the brand name. Like I was like hype. I was jumping around. I was excited. So over time, of course, well, when I first started, it was more so like a gym thing, like, you know, just going to the gym, being disciplined, staying to the course. Like, but over a while, like over time, it started turning into like something that was more equivalent to like a lifestyle. Like it's not just the gym, and there's a lot of layover in the gym that can like, you know, kind of transition into life that I didn't really realize until like I started doing the gym so often. Like I was in the gym 12, 16 hours a week, like honestly, like just making sure I just was like working on my craft. And there was so many things I learned about it, so many things I learned about myself. And I started to realize like these messages that like I've taken from the gym can be applied anywhere. And that's kind of the same route the brand has taken. Like literally, like I forget the first tagline that I had for the brand, but the tagline I have now is very simple: just staying disciplined to your craft, whether you have high tides or low tides. And of course, high tides is those times where everything's going great, you're making amazing progress, and even through the low times where it's like, oh, you're kind of stuck, you don't really know where to go next. You just know you need to keep doing it, and that's kind of where I was at for a little while. There was times in training where I was making amazing progress, and there was times in training where I also had hit crazy walls. Like I was just like, bro, I don't know what I'm doing. And honestly, I never really like shied away from that because I knew it was important for like my growth and like moving forward. But not to get too off topic, this all leads back to why I chose what I chose today. And like, of course, the designs and stuff all have like a wolf in there. I love the wolf, but considering that we're going like more lifestyle, I'm probably going to be like doing some other things too, just to like bring about more like, you know, exposure and spread and just have people, you know, feeling good about what they're wearing and what they got going on. But yeah, that's like the message of the PRTCL brand, just staying focused, staying disciplined through the high tides and low tides. It gets rough, but like honestly, if the good days wouldn't feel so bad if it didn't rain a couple times a year. So
fuck yeah, man. That's really cool. And I like the whole thing of it's standard protocol. Like you gotta stay disciplined, right? You gotta keep going, you gotta develop that resilience to get through the shit so then you can get to the great. You know, and then inevitably life will come again, like we said at the beginning, where it's like, you know, it's going to be peaks and troughs. You're going to go all the way up to the top of the wave, and things are going to feel absolutely euphoric, and then it's going to hit the bottom of the ocean again. You're going to be like, "Fuck me, is this happening again?"
Exactly.
And the next thing you know, you're elevated, and you're like, "Whoa, hold on a minute." You've got to be able to
Exactly.
develop that discipline to get through it.
Exactly. And I think to go along with the PRTCL brand, like in the thought process and just the mentality of it, I think it's so important to like it's like the mindset is so important for that. Like being able to keep that discipline. Like, and it's just one of those things where like when you're doing well, like enjoy your wins, like enjoy them for sure, but don't get too high on your wins.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're, you know, when you take a loss, when like you say you hit the trough, don't beat yourself up too much because at the end of the day, you didn't really lose. Specifically speaking, like at the gym, you go to the gym, you have a shitty session, you didn't lose. Why? Because you were at the gym. You go to work, you had a shitty day. Okay, you didn't lose that day. Why? Because you still went to work, you still made money. The day just didn't turn out how you needed it to be. And then tomorrow you get blessed with another 24 hours. You get to have a better day the next time out. So there's always an opportunity moving ahead. God bless, God willing. But we want to take as much time focusing and just moving forward rather than like hitting a rut and being sad, being angry about it. Like you want to try to leave that as much as possible. So when you do have bad days, you just, okay, I've been here before. And then when you have good days, you say, okay, well, today was a good day. Let's try to make it happen again. And just a way to staying like even keel with yourself, just so like you can always stay focused on the task at hand, even when things are going good or bad. So
staying present, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's I think we're very easily falling into the trap, especially like these days, like fucking you can flick on your phone and you can go through a million things in like 20 seconds of
exactly.
You don't sit in that process of I actually got to win, right? It's like, okay, where's the win in 5 steps time? It's like, wait, hold on a minute. If you focus on that, you're gonna end up tripping up. And the same thing with a loss, right? You're like, this is fucked. What's the next thing? You're like, no. Like, you lose for a reason, man. Sometimes you got to take the L, and that L is a lesson, not a loss.
Exactly.
You need to like sit in that for a little bit and figure it out and hash it out and see where the holes are. And then once you've like digested it, then go forward.
100%. 100%. Yeah, like honestly, there are some days, especially in the gym, because it's so physical. Like it's a physical representation of losing a battle. You can't lift the weight. You're not strong enough. You messed up your technique. Something goes wrong. Instead of like writing it off like, oh, it was a loss, there's always something you can learn from it. That's why like this day and age, when you see so many people posting on Instagram, they're posting their clips. Of course, we have some people who are doing it. They want to gain like clout. They want to get exposure. But most people who do it have the ulterior motive of keeping it as a log for their training. Instead of just writing it down in a notebook, you can see how things move. I'm pretty sure like everybody says a picture's worth 1,000 words. A video is worth 1,000,000. Like, because when you look back at a video and you see yourself and how you move, you can like kind of remember how your body felt, what went on that day, what you ate, how much water you drank. Like you can go through all that stuff in your head as you're watching a clip. Like it pretty much like, it's not even a screenshot of that day. It's literally like a whole motion picture of what happened that day to get you to that point. And that's why I love like keeping a log. Like honestly, I started using Instagram as a log because it allowed me to delete videos off my phone. Like that was the reason why I started posting everything. And then I realized like people actually enjoyed watching it, like seeing like me kind of progress and stuff like that. And that's how I got started. Because when I first started, I'm like, I want to learn how to live even if I like didn't compete. And it was just something I wanted to do because it was a craft. It was something I could focus on, something I could look forward to and getting better in. And I just started recording everything. First, it was like really weird. Now it feels weird not to have a camera. Like it feels weird to work out and not be recording. Like I probably should have recorded that so I could watch it later. But honestly, it's been like a thing where me just being me as a person has allowed people to just come out and just be themselves, go to the gym, smile, do something productive, find something new, find a new hobby. So honestly, like I don't see myself ever stopping because that's what drives me. Like people reaching out to me and just saying, thank you, like look forward to seeing your next video or anything. Like it's always the most of humbling of feelings. Like I enjoy it so much. Like 6 months ago, you would have told me I was doing what I was doing now, I probably would have laughed at you. But like I enjoy myself a lot. Like no day really feels like work. And then like I said, some days I go to work, working at a gym, I go to work and people are like, hey, you're that guy on Instagram that's like kind of strong. I'm like, I'm weak, like, just keeping it modest. And they talk to me, they're down to earth people. And it just gives them a familiar face when they come in the gym. They can just relax, take a breather. Oh, I know that guy, I've seen him before, and just get a good lift him. And it's always been like the best of times for me. Like, honestly, I love meeting new people, love being around good energy. And most of the time in the gym, it's great energy. Like depending on the community you have, and like people just coming in, hitting big lifts, proving themselves wrong. It's a good time.
Fuck yeah, man. Like it's this strength in sharing, right? And you get to empathize with people and people feel what you're going through, you know what I mean? And for you to go in the gym and prove yourself wrong, that's a really important comment of like, that little voice in the back of your head that sometimes that you believe that you can't do it, right? It's always there.
Listen,
It's always like, you can't do that, dude. You
and
proved it wrong.
I think it's so important for like the human brain to like have those euphoric moments where, not necessarily speaking on like that feeling where it's like, oh my God, I've won, but it's just like that feeling where you just kind of prove yourself wrong, where you're just like, wow, I didn't think I could do that. My friends, my family, the people around me allow me to, receive some of that energy and push through. And I think that's so important. Like, I think it's so important for like character growth. I think it's so important for mental health as well. Like just being able to just like get through that trough and just like, just kind of come out on top. Just that small victory can mean so much more to some people. Like for me, I never thought, well, when I was younger, everybody looked at me like, oh, like, yo, you have really long arms. Your bench press is probably going to suck. And this is before we even got into like powerlifting. This was just like younger days playing football. Everyone wanted to bench, 100 keys, like 100 kgs. Everybody wanted to bench 100 kgs. They'd be like, oh, I finally did it. And to be honest, they were like, yo, your arm is long, you're never going to do that. And I happened to be one of the first kids, like, in my class coming out of high school, like, bench 100 keys, and it was, like, a big thing. And I was happy about it because everybody doubted me. They were like, oh, you can't do it, you can't do it. And I was like, no, I'm proving motherfuckers wrong. So I went in there and did it. And then next thing I know, a couple of years later, I finally benched 160 keys. And I've been like fighting that number for the past 3 weeks. Like it was one of those numbers. It was more so a mental barrier than anything. Like people were looking at me like, yo, like you have the strength, but honestly, it was just something not clicking up here. And I just walked in the gym one day. I had the right people around me, the right energy, the right music, and I like finished the rep for the first time. It felt amazing afterwards. I was like going stupid. I usually try not to get that hype during lifts. I try to put most of my energy into the bar, but I let it rip that day. I can't even lie. I was like hyped, the music was going. Yeah, I was like amped up. So I was definitely activated, but I mean, it's good to have those moments in your training sometimes where like you just amped up, honestly. Just let yourself be human.
For sure. And like, show a little bit of passion and people get excited by that, man. People are drawn to it. Like someone getting fucking fired up over something. Like, oh, hell yeah. Like, let's go. I don't care what you're doing. You could be doing step class or whatever. It's like,
seriously.
Let's have a good time,
Listen, most things are like that. Like if you go somewhere or you like go to something, especially for me, I'm all about energy and like vibrations. I believe energy is currency just as important as money is. Mm-hmm. And like if you go somewhere and like you don't necessarily know what's going on, but somebody brings that energy, like you'll get into the mix pretty quickly. Like, like when I first saw powerlifting, I didn't really know what it was, but I watched like a video and they were like getting active. Like I was like, this shit looks lit. The first time I ever been to like a meet, I actually saw like a powerlifting meet on the computer first. I didn't know it was a powerlifting meet. But my first time was like the gym that I work in actually had a meet. And this was before I started working there. And I didn't really see the big deal about powerlifting. I'm like, it's going to be cool, whatever. Like, but I went to this particular meet and it was in a smaller gym, of course. And it was packed. And the energy when they started deadlifting felt just like a football stadium. Like it felt just like I was playing football again. I was like, yo, what the fuck is this? And how do I get a part of it? I was like, this right here. At first, I didn't really plan on competing in powerlifting until 2022. And that's what actually segued me into getting a coach and finding my first meet. Like just literally doing both in like the same day. Like I talked to the coach, and then right after I talked to the coach, I literally like found the meet that day. I said, maybe I'll do that. Came back, I think like a couple days to a week later and just signed up. Like I was locked in early. I knew I wanted to do it. I knew I wanted to try it. And then once I got in, it was just all she wrote. Like I haven't looked back ever since.
You gotta get amongst that energy, man. That's what we live for.
Yeah, man. Listen, energy is contagious, man. Energy is contagious.
Yeah. Gladiators live to fight, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I had someone competing just like an amateur thing, right, at the local gym recently on a powerlifting event. And I'm like, I'm a weightlifter, not a powerlifter, right? So I don't even do this sport.
Right.
And I'm in there just handling, like writing down some numbers, making sure people are warm and everyone's all right, you know, handing out the sweets, drinking too much caffeine, you know, the standard.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, fuck, man, get me on that platform. I was like,
Yeah, that's what happened. And that's how it happened. I went to this meet. I went to my first powerlifting meet, and I wasn't coaching, I wasn't handling or anything. My friends just happened to be in the meet. But they were like, they needed stuff, and I'm like coherent. I'm paying attention. So I'm like, yo, I got you. Like, I'll go get it for you. And like you said, same thing. I'm grabbing like caffeinated drinks, water, candy, honey buns, like anything I can get my hands on that they could eat easily during the meet. And at some point, I'm like, I need to be up there.
yeah,
Like, I need to be right where he is, getting the same treatment from one of my homies. Like, yeah, I need to be there. And that's when I made the decision, man. Like, it didn't take long at all. And I felt that coming. I'm like, something's going to happen, and I'm going to, like, be all in with this. Literally, like, a couple of days later, I went to that meet, went after work. I thought I was only going to be there for, like, an hour or two. Ended up staying whole 6 hours for the rest of the meet. The meet started at, like, 8 a.m. I got off of work at 12, like noon, and then I stayed until, like, 7, 8 p.m. that night. Like, I was there all day. So, yeah, I definitely knew where I wanted to be at after that day for sure.
massive, man. Yeah, it's so fun. You know, the nerves, the anxiety, people like PRing, like everyone's watching, everyone's cheering for you. Like everyone wants everyone to make the lift. No one wants them to fucking miss. It's like,
Yeah,
no, go out and do your best, man. Like, oh, it's so fucking cool.
Yeah, man. And considering the gym that I work at, like Power Build on the East Coast, like I get to see some of the strongest guys around, to be completely honest. I think the best moment of this year, and I hope he sees this, I'm gonna say his name, I'm name dropping. Abden Nazario, big bro. He's actually one of the like renowned deadlifters in one of the weight classes around the world and most of the federations he's been in. But moment of just pure euphoria was a couple weeks ago. I think he pulled a new deadlift world record. I don't necessarily remember what the number would be in kgs, but I think it was like around 340 to 350 keys. And he weighs, I think, 82.5 keys. And it was fucking nuts. Like, I was there, I stood right in front of him. It was absolutely nuts. Like, he like cried on the platform. And it's like, if you know Abner and you know how methodical he is about his training, that man has been chasing that goal for a very long time. And it's crazy because you would think like you would have your most like those moments where like you feel it the most when you're lifting. And the biggest moment was when he lift, like when he made his lift. Like, I was more excited about his lift than I've been about any of my lifts. And I lost my voice to show it. Like, I lost my voice twice, like screaming at him for deadlifts. So it just goes to show, like, man, energy is currency. Like, energy travels, energy flows. It can be used. It can be, and I don't think energy can be destroyed. But honestly, it's one of those things, man, where like it's so contagious for me. Like, I get around it. I could have like a shitty day, walk in and see somebody just trying to destroy weights, and now I'm active. Now I'm ready. No pre-workout needed.
There's that little fire inside of you that just, you put gasoline on it, and the next thing you know, you're like jumping around the place, acting like a fucking fool, and everyone's going mental.
That's all it is.
Bit of a max out session. Oh yeah, man. Someone just like going for something relatively heavy. You know what I mean? All they got to do is walk past you and say, "Oh." It's like, oh,
that's it. That's it. Like, literally, you could be. I think that's why the community in which like the gym you like partake in is so important. Just because like the community can tear you down, but it can also be like your best driver. I've been to some gyms, of course, where I'm in there and I'm lifting weights, and people are looking at me and they're looking at me funny, like, "Oh, why are you lifting so much?" and blah blah blah, and they just don't understand that much. And I honestly, we could be assholes about it and try to cuss them out, like, "Oh, fuck you." But honestly, there's no need. Like, what they don't understand, it's okay. Not everyone's going to understand what we do and why we do it. But finding a place, finding like a home where everybody kind of does the same thing and everybody understands and everybody works to a specific standard, that's where magic happens. Like that's where like things you start to see yourself elevate and grow. I always try to tell people like if you want to powerlift, you can't be afraid to put yourself around people who are actually like legendary or like top tier in what they do. Like that's the only way you'll grow, being around them, seeing how they operate. Like take note. Like honestly, tell people this all the time. Ever since I got in the gym, I have like friends who have wanted to come to the gym with me nonstop. And I tell them like, just come to the gym. Like it's not the kind of gym where like somebody's gonna call you shitty because you didn't lift a certain way. Like, because everybody that lifts a lot of weight understand how much effort they put into it and how much time goes into that craft. And me, I understand it more than ever. And I'm only about 7-8 months in. And I understand it completely. Like some of these guys that you see on social media and the record books, these guys trained for years, probably off and on camera, stuff like just paying attention to everything, recovery, food, protein intake, supplements, like everything. These guys put in the hard work to be able to get there. So most of the time you meet strong individuals, most of them are kind. And I try to model myself the same way because honestly, it's just better to be a good person. It's good. It's great to be a good lifter, but it's even better to be a better human being. So when I'm in the gym, I see somebody trying, giving effort. I'm not about to like, oh, that's ass. You need to be doing more. Like, no, I'm going to help you and help you figure it out so you can kind of make your way on your journey and find your own progress and make it happen for yourself. So that's why, like always, energy is always shared, man. You can't never give somebody negative energy. You always got to, bring people up, man. Especially if they haven't shit, you got to bring people up.
I mean, it's never wrong to do the right thing, and I think the fitness industry is all about giving back, you know what I mean? And like passing on the little nitpicks and the knowledge that you gained from someone else and then just passing it on and then they pass it on and they pass it on, right? That's how this thing started. Like it was just in, the whole bro science, right? Okay, yeah, there was a lot of bullshit that came out of myths, but like that's how you ended up learning because you just got in shoulder to shoulder with people, right? And it's just like, oh, try this, man. You're like, oh, that feels great. Like that's so much better. My back doesn't hurt anymore. It's like, yeah, cool. What time are you training? Oh, I'm going to be here at like 5 p.m. Oh, I'll be here at 5 p.m. Yeah, I can make that. And it's like, it's fucking incredible, man. That kind of camaraderie you build in the arena.
Listen, man, at some point, we got to get you down to the States, man. No doubt. We got to get you down.
I'll be there.
Come visit. There's plenty of gyms, man, that we got to get you to. Listen, I've been like, slowly but surely, I have been like creating my own list of places I want to travel, just in general, but also gyms I want to visit and like stuff I want to do in those specific gyms. Like, trust me, I have a whole list for you. If you need me to share it to you, I could like Google file, I can Gmail it to you, email, whatever email you have, I got you. But honestly, it has been nothing but like just pure fun. And like, you forget your workout, man. Like, honestly, you come to a gym like that, you start hearing music, you start seeing people lifting. Yeah, I doubt you'll have a bad time. I doubt it. And then on top of that, of course, we all lift, so we all eat.
Oh yeah,
so we're gonna take you somewhere with some good food. We're gonna take you somewhere with some good food, man, no doubt.
Good lifts, good food, man, and then good people. That's all you need. Like, you probably get coffee beforehand. You go fucking train. You go get some food, and that's it. That's like a perfect day. You meet some people who are like-minded. Man, I'm getting fired up now, and it's like fucking 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, I ain't training this early on. Fuck no.
No, yeah, I got you, man.
Oh,
I'm
no.
gonna get some breakfast into something, man.
Yeah, man. Right. So I've got 3 questions, right? Because I'm obsessed with like people's answers. First one. What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Greatest piece of life advice. It might have been when I was oh man, and I think it may be the greatest advice just because it came at such an opportune time. Like playing high school football, like of course, me and my head coach got pretty close, and like I think I was like 18, 19, and I was just like, life was just fucking rough. Like I was just going through like a rough time mentally. Like it was just not there for me. And he was just like, stay the course. And that's kind of like he just texted me one day, like out of the blue, like, hey man, just thinking about you. I know you've been working your ass off, and those last 3 words, stay the course. Like that's what he said. And that day, like, kind of changed me. Like I went from like being the victim to like always being in front, like always being like ahead of what bothers me. Like I wasn't like, oh, life is so bad. No, I just grabbed life by the horns, I guess. I just like kind of just took it into my own hands. Like, if it's gonna happen, I'm gonna make it happen. And if I can't make it happen, like just let it flow. It's out of my hands. So that piece of advice right there, although I look back and I'm like, well, I've heard plenty of life advice, but the time that was said and how it made me feel at that time, yes, that's probably the most important life advice I got. Just stay the course with whatever you do. Because honestly, we get started on something, we don't finish, but most of the time when you stay the course, life will push you in the direction you need to be going to. Like, I didn't want to stay at Enterprise before I started working at the gym, but something said, just stay the course. I ended up telling myself, like, nah, you need to work this job because it's going to teach you some things. And it was hard, it was rough, but it taught me a lot that I didn't know I needed to know when I started working at a gym. And I didn't understand it until I finally got into the gym and started working. There were so many things I had to learn about myself and so many things I had to learn about taking about my environment to actually like excel in the field that I'm in. Like just this, and it's not like crazy stuff. It's just small stuff, like simple stuff, but knowing is better than not knowing. So going in, I felt way better. But yeah, man, just stay the course.
Stay the course. I like that. I really like that. And it's fascinating and so beautiful how, you know, coaches, teachers, these little mentors you have, right, growing up can say, stay the course, 3 words, right? And it's completely changed the path that you were on and stuck in your mind, and you go back to it like regularly.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck, man, like that's powerful. That's really powerful.
Yeah, man. Just to think, like every time I think or it looks like it's gonna get rough, like I might not even say those words, but they still breathe true. Like regardless, even if I don't like think about those 3 exact words, because I haven't said those 3 words in a while. But like, even so, like life is just based off of that. Like stuff gets rough. Okay, like I've been here before. It's gonna be cool. Like it's okay. I'll get through it. And then all of a sudden, you know, things start happening, things start changing. And for the simple fact that you stayed level-headed when things were shitty, the good times feel 10 times better, 20 times better.
So much better. What about the worst advice you've ever received?
Go to college. Oh my goodness, man. Because I got my degree and honestly, it was good. Made my family proud. I made myself proud, sticking to it. But man, if I knew I could learn everything I learned in class on YouTube or Google, maybe I would have chosen a different route. Just maybe. Or the other advice that I got from a young age, I got told investing was a scam. And you look at today's society with Bitcoin and all these things, and like investing in yourself is not a fucking scam. Like it will never be a scam. I feel like investing can open doors and give you opportunities that some people dream to have or have dreamed to have. So, and I got told this by like an older individual, like 50, 60 years old when I was like around like 10, 11 years old. And I got told investing was a scam. And now I'm looking back and I'm just like, there are so many people who wish they would have invested in something like Bitcoin or something that's like really, really big these days to kind of just live free, like just kind of just have money and not have to worry about anything. But that's probably the worst advice I got because, like I said, it goes back to everything we talked about. Investing is a scam. There's so many things that you can consider an investment, and it would not be a scam at all. Like yourself investing in like some insurance funds, like anything. None of that stuff is a scam. Like it's built for you. It's an investment. It's to help you. So I'm glad I never followed that advice, and I felt like it was wrong when I heard it. But that was definitely the worst advice I got.
Yeah, that's interesting pieces of advice.
Trust me, man. That we were all 10, 11 years old. Like, wait,
you sure?
Investing is scam? Yeah, like don't companies invest? Like there was so many questions that flew that needed answers that didn't get answered. And that's why we all 11, 12, 13 years old, we're all like, that didn't sound too right. That didn't sound right at all.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
But yeah, for real. Some bullshit for sure.
Yeah. What about the last one is 3 words you would tell your younger self?
Oh man. If I had 3 words right now, stick to protocol. That's it. Stick to protocol. That's it. Like, listen, that shit, there were so many things that went through my mind when I first thought about having a brand. If I could tell my younger self stick to protocol, I don't know where I could be at right now. Maybe I would have started earlier, but then again, I didn't start too late, so it doesn't really matter. But I would tell my younger self stick to PRTCL.
You know, it wasn't right. You know, like I guess everything happens for a reason, right? And you had to learn it a little bit later on.
Yeah, man.
So
listen, man, I think everything happens for a reason, man. I started when I started because I was supposed to. Like not because I was late, not because I didn't have the ideas together, but because I was supposed to. I feel like if I would have started any earlier than I did, it could have been rushed. I feel like it's all a part of a bigger plan. So honestly, I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be, bestowing the youth and whoever watches with some good energy and, just honestly progressing myself. Like I'm addicted to my progress. Like I'm addicted to following my progression. And I know other people are like the same way with themselves. Like just focus on your progression and have fun while you're doing it. Don't be one of those poop putts. You just focus on the progression so hard that it takes the fun out of life. Like have fun with it.
You've got to enjoy it while you're here, right? I think happiness is the only thing we should be striving for, really.
For real. Like I'll scrap for my happiness, but like I'm in the gym, man. I'm dancing, I'm having fun, I'm enjoying myself. Like that's how it's supposed to be. Like although you're in the gym and like you gotta get your money in while you're there, like you gotta get it in, but still be at the gym having fun. And like I said, that applies everywhere. Like that doesn't just apply to the gym. When I'm at home doing some work, same thing. Like have fun a little bit. Find a way to make it fun. Find a way to make it for you. So
I'm not gonna lie, I've been jamming some like slow R&B jams with a bit of dancing in between sets recently. It's been so good. It's been so good. You know what I mean? You're like, I just want some good vibes from you, man. Good vibes and heavy weights.
And you the man. Because listen, I'll tell you now, for like 4 weeks prior to like these 2 weeks that just passed, I wasn't listening to anything but R&B in the gym. Straight up. Like it was calming, it was soothing, it was allowing me to focus, like nothing but R&B in my headphones. The gym was playing some crazy shit, put my headphones in, Alicia Keys.
I love it, man.
Easy.
I absolutely love it. I keep saying, literally, like every fucking city I've been to, like I lived in a few places now, I'm like, guys, we need to open a fucking bar and it needs to be like some R&B shit. Like, why? Because you don't even need a drink. You know what I mean? You just like, everyone's dancing, having a good time. I'm like, trust me.
Having a good time, man. Trust me. Like, and you hear from me first, man. Me and my homies, we don't even need alcohol to have fun. Like, mind you, it could be fun with a couple of drinks, but we do not need alcohol to have fun, man. Especially when R&B comes on. Yeah, you don't need it. You just don't need it. We damn near know most of the songs word for word. We'll have a karaoke right there and there. Like I've seen it, I've done it, no doubt, man. Like I've been there.
Yeah, man. Oh, I'm gonna be jamming that all day now.
Amen. Listen, it's early in the morning. Get some breakfast going. R&B. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong, man.
Hell yeah, man. Well, if you're ever find yourself dicking around the bottom right-hand corner of the world, you know where I am. You know where to hit me up. And we'll go get a coffee and throw some bars around. I'm not pulling 300 kilos. That's not gonna happen. I'm a weightlifter. I put my arms above my head, right? I don't, that's my excuse.
Listen, y'all get respect from me too, man. I can shoulder mobility for me and ankle mobility, hip mobility. It ain't there for me. Listen, Power Bill got a section where we had for like Olympic lifting. Yeah. I do up for y'all every time I see, because that ain't for me. I can try my best, but listen, I don't think it's gonna happen for me.
You just gotta, I don't know, close your eyes, think of something pretty, and shove yourself down to the bottom there, and hopefully the weight puts you there. You know what I mean? And you catch it.
Yeah, no, completely understandable. Like I find myself actually watching a lot more Olympic clips. And then I watch powerlifting especially on Instagram and social media, just because it looked like it's so interesting to see the body work, the body using the strength it has plus momentum. It's always nice to see. It's very, very therapeutic for me when I'm watching it. People slow-mo and stuff like that. It looks like a work of art. I think it's definitely its own type of masterpiece, own type of art. And you can see the cultivation of skills over years and years of doing it. And these dudes are 150, 160 pounds, putting 300, 400 pounds over their head. I'm just bro, this shit is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's some of the fucking lighter weight ladies are snatching double body weight, clean and jerking triple body weight. Wait, what is this?
Yeah, it's insane, man. It's
that should break you, but you're throwing it above your head like it's a fucking piece of candy.
Amen, man. But yeah, one of these days you may catch me trying to put a ball over my head, but it'll be down the line. So I got to work on my mobility, man. It'll be down the line. So.
Okay, send your message in. Dude, what the fuck are you doing? That's not a bench press. Lie down, man. Lie down. You just got to push it off your chest.
Right. Try our best, man. I'll try my best.
It's I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I am. Yeah, man. I'll make it over to the States as soon as possible if the world stops shitting its pants. And I can get a visa, I guess.
Amen, man.
Yeah, man, I'll dick around. We'll start throwing out some weights. Sounds good.
Looking forward to it, my man. Thank you for having me today, too, man. I really appreciate it.
Always, man. Always. I'm always up for a conversation, and I'm grateful that you want to share your time. Yeah, man, it's been a wild ride for sure. And I'm grateful for anyone's time that just wants to share a fucking coffee and a conversation.
Amen. Listen, man, we got to look forward to doing it in person so we can get some lifting in that. All right?
Fuck yes, man. It's happening. I'll send you some ideas and some details. I've got some I'm playing around with mentally and trying to figure some things out. And yeah, like I said, the States is on the radar and this will be coming with me. So that's all I'm gonna give a little bit of a teaser. But yeah, it's gonna be fucking cool. So we'll get on to it.
Copy that, man. All right, man. It was good talking to you, man. Thank you.
All right, boy. Enjoy your day.
You too.
Thank you, brother. Peace.